Hello, today we are talking about Pakistani army disguised as infiltrators coming into Jammu Kashmir. No, I'm not talking about Kargil. I'm talking about Operation Gibraltar, which happened in 1965. There are two reasons why I'm talking about this today. One, of course, that it's happening again. The south of Pir Panjal ranges are active. Every day we are reading about encounters taking place with the Indian Army and people being killed. The second reason I'm talking about this right now is because I have with me a former naval officer who is now a filmmaker and an actor and an author. He's written a book on the Battle of Haji Pir. So let me welcome Commandant Kulpreet Yadav. Thank you so much for joining us. I just wanted to start off by asking you, you've written this book, The Battle of Haji Pir. We've all been reading what's happening, these days over there. You've read about the encounters and all. Do you think, if I start from the end, because everybody knows, we won it and then we returned it. Do you think that is still playing out?
I believe so. It was a strategic decision to return those 500 square kilometers of land that India had captured. And we gave it back in Tashkent in just after a few months in January 1966. Looking back now, it does appear like a blunder. However, when I was researching, I realized that the conditions and the circumstances that time were very different. The world was different.
Okay, how so?
In the sense that when a peace agreement was brokered between India and Pakistan, just to give you an example, people had a relationship of a very different kind. The President of Pakistan, Muhammad Ayub Khan, Field Marshal, was the coastmate of General Chaudhry, who was the Chief of Army Staff, because India was one before that. And people were not that stingy and strict about giving things or accepting things. Indian government at that time probably thought that we can play a big brother role. Pakistan has erred. It was still a few years back they were one, and now they are repenting their mistake, and Operation Gibraltar has completely failed because of one para's action, as you've read in the book. Why don't we give them an opportunity to repent? And we decided to return the Haji Pir bulge, the entire area, including the pass, because they promised us on paper that they will never use this pass for sending infiltrators. Unfortunately, they did not keep their end of the promise, and they have been using it to push infiltrators into Kashmir. So looking back now, it does look like a mistake, but at that time it was just a magnanimous, gesture on the part of India. That's how I would like to. It's much more complicated and more detailed than this, but at the surface, this is what I would like to say.
Okay, can you tell us, if I take you back, first of all, what made you choose this battle?
Okay, so I wrote the Battle of Rizangla in 2021, and I had finished writing in 2020. And at that time, actually, let me tell you a little bit about my background, because then only I'll be able to set the context properly. My father was in the Air Force. I hail from the state of Haryana. And wherever my father went on transfer, I was moving around with him. I've studied in Kendriya Vidyalaya, and summer vacation we used to come to our village. And my mother's village is in Mahendragarh district, a village called as Beval. And next to Beval, there is a village from where one of the Veer Chakra of awardee of Battle of Haji Pir had hailed. And I had been hearing the story of Lance Havaldar Umrao Singh from my childhood. This was the Veer Jawan from Surjanwas village, and he had gone and defended Haji Pir at the contour line. There was an area, and in doing so, he sacrificed his life, and he was awarded the Veer Chakra posthumous. So he's a local hero and a legend. And I used to listen to his story all the time when I used to go to my mother's village, Mama ji ke ghar, Mama Mami ghar. But largely, anywhere in India, people, of course, had not known about him. But my heartbreak was that people were not knowing that much about, even about Battle of Haji Pir. Outside the army circle, people do not know what Haji Pir is, who sacrificed their life, how did we capture a land, did we cross the border or not, because now it is made to believe that we crossed the border now, but the fact is this was the original surgical strike. So these were few reasons, and also the success of Battle of Rizangla as an authentic war non-fiction historical military history book, which was very well received. And I thought, let me now try to research for this battle. Initially, I was not very confident whether I'll be able to get the entire information to make a complete book, because just like Rizangla, there is no book on Battle of Haji Pir. There is not even a single book. There is one book, a Kindle book on Amazon that you can see written in Hindi, which is just 6 pages long. Oh. There is no book. There are several books on 1965, and of course, at many fronts, the Indian Army fought fabulous battles, and they're all well recorded in those books. And there is a mention in all those books, like 1 page or 2 pages or 3 pages. But having researched, having met the survivors, the war heroes, and read those books, and the Government of India records, and one para headquarters that I visited, etc., all that gave me so much of information that it gave me confidence that perhaps there is enough for me to write first book on Battle of Haji Pir. And that's how I proposed to my publisher, and they immediately said yes. And then it took me, of course, 2.5 years to finish writing.
Just tell our viewers the importance of Battle of Haji Pir.
So, as you said, 30,000 infiltrators had entered into the Kashmir Valley. This was a plan, a top secret plan rolled out by the Pakistan government. It was approved at the level of President Muhammad Ayub Khan, the Field Marshal. It was recommended by the Foreign Minister of that time, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, who in 1965 was the Foreign Minister of Pakistan. It was conceived and implemented by 12 Div, which was headquartered in Muri, and this was Major General Akhtar Hussain Malik, who was the Div commander. He had already been training the Mujahideens and the people with overall intention of destabilizing Kashmir. So this plan was made, a very curious name was given, Operation Gibraltar, and everybody thinks and wonders why Gibraltar. Where is Gibraltar, by the way? And Gibraltar is, as all of us know, it connects the tip of the Spain and Portugal, that part of land, with Morocco, the North Africa, and that's where Gibraltar Rock is. And the reason that has been given in several places is the fact that it was the Muslim conquest which started from North Africa, and they were able to conquer for a few hundred years the entire, I think it is called the Iberian Peninsula, and until the Christians sent them back. So this was a successful conquest, and similarly, they thought that, this Haji Pir Pass is something like Gibraltar, which they need to cross, destabilize Kashmir and capture it. This was a top secret mission, as I said, and Indian intelligence, once again, just like 1962, completely failed. We had no clue, and 30,000 infiltrators came, spread like poison all over the state. They started blowing up bridges, blowing up hospitals, blowing up schools, villages, police station, army cantonment. They started attacking anything and everything that they could, and they had so much of information, and they were highly trained mercenaries. And at that time, the army was in a state of confusion how to tackle the enemy, because army is trained to tackle the enemy which is standing on the other side of the border. Here the enemy has come and got mixed with the local population. So for the army, it was not possible to differentiate who's a terrorist and who's not a terrorist. And they successfully terrorized all the local Kashmiris into submission. Another instruction that was given to these mercenaries was that a small group will continue to go forward, reach Srinagar, capture the airport, and then go to the radio station, capture the radio station, and then read a declaration read a proclamation, which was given to them. And in that, they were to declare that Kashmir, because of India's oppression, is now an independent country. This is a local uprising, and we've become an independent country. So Indian Army and the Indian government was in a state of confusion that attacks are happening every 1 hour, 2 hours. Information is coming to the corps headquarters at the CNC level, at the division level, that this is under attack, that is under attack, and there was a lot of confusion, mayhem, destruction. And at that time, a very brave decision was taken by GOCNC, Lieutenant General Harbaksh Singh, Veer Chakra from 1947, and a specialist of Kashmir operations. Kashmir was under him, and he took a decision that the only way to control this and have a handle on the situation is to cross the border, go to Haji Pir Pass and capture the Haji Pir Pass, so that all these 30,000 infiltrators will get locked within the Kashmir and within the Kashmir Valley, and we can kill them if they don't give up. If they give up, we'll take them prisoner as prisoner of war. And that decision of his, that recommendation was approved, further recommended by the Chief of Army Staff, and it was approved by the Prime Minister of India, Lal Bahadur Shastri. And that is how one para was given the responsibility of crossing the border and going all the way up to Haji Pir and capturing it.
That was the first surgical strike, you would say, crossing the LOC?
It was. It indeed was.
And that resulted in eventually the 1965 war, because
Yes.
there was a counter retaliation also.
Absolutely.
But the Haji Pir, there was an Operation Bakshi.
Yes.
And can you tell us a little bit, without giving too much away from the book? So I'm not going to ask you to tell us that, but whatever you sort of, when you did your research, the things that you read, and today in the context of what's happening in Jammu and Kashmir, when you see that and you realize, you know, certain things are being repeated by Pakistan. You know, in 1948 they sent in the people to come in. Then 65 it happened. Kargil it's happened, and it's happening now again. So in that context, if you see your research and your book and that area, you know, what did you sort of find out while researching that surprised you, or which you were like, oh, I did not know this, and this is how they operate, and this is how we operated? Okay.
So there are very interesting anecdotes and information, subplots and minor stories within the book, and of course it is not possible for me to cover everything. However, at a very macro level, the attack was twofold. So, you know, if you look at the Kashmir map carefully, so the borderline actually after the city of Uri, it travels eastwards, and land-wise it comes like this up to Poonch. So technically, if you draw a straight line between Uri and Poonch, a large chunk of land actually bulges within our Indian Kashmir. So this is called as the Haji Pir bulge. So from the north, that is from Uri, we launched the attack, which was called as Operation Bakshi, as you said. And this was because 68th Brigade was led by Brigadier Zorawar Chand Bakshi, a very well decorated and a very competent brigade commander. And the name was given on his name, Operation Bakshi. Under Operation Bakshi, there were several battalions. Significant of them was one para, which was given the responsibility of penetrating into the bulge and capturing the Haji Piri Pass. But there was also 19 Punjab, there was 4 Rajput, and there were several other battalions. And all the stories of these, the valor of respective battalions is fabulous. I'm focusing more on the capture of Haji Pir Pass. However, there is sufficient information that I have collected for 19 Punjab and for 4 Rajput as well. This is from the north side. From the south side, it was called Operation Faulad. It is called Operation Faulad. The brigade commander there was called Brigadier Zora Singh. Now this is, very confusing. Brigadier Zora Singh and Brigadier Zorawar Chand Bakshi. So Z is common, but this operation was called Operation Faulad. And in this again, this was from Poonch, from the south side, and there were several battalions. One of them was 2 Sikh, 3 Dogra, and several other battalions. From the east side, a very interesting phenomena happened. GOCNC Lieutenant General Harbaksh Singh, he raised a very tiny mercenary force of comprising about 1 company strength, and it was called as Meghdut Force on the name of the officer whom he chose to lead that. That was Major Megh Singh. So Major Megh Singh was a competent officer. It's a very interesting story about Major Megh Singh in this book. He had given up he had sent his resignation before this battle, and he wanted to retire from the army because he was not considered for Lieutenant Colonel. So when this war happened, he came to GOCNC and said, Kashmir is under attack, sir. I want to please give me opportunity to go and fight. And he said, but you already put up your papers. You're about to retire and your paper is likely to be approved. He says that circumstances were different. Now my nation is under threat. I want to, and he proposed that I want to raise a mercenary force I want to handpick 120 Jawans, and I want to go from the eastern side, go inside and help all these battalions
These
fighting.
were army Jawans?
These were army Jawans. Serving army Jawans.
Okay.
So GOCNC took this decision of allowing this creation of the Meghdut Force, and Major Megh Singh became the company commander, so to speak, of that strength of people. And from the eastern side, he went. And before he went, when he went to meet General Harbaksh Singh for the last time, General Harbaksh Singh said that if your operation is successful, it is my promise that I will pin Lieutenant Colonel rank on your chest myself. And after the battle, he was promoted to Lieutenant Colonel by General Harbakh Singh at that time. So anyway, coming back to the story, so from east was Meghdoot Force, from north Operation Bakshi, from south Operation Folad, and from east this was Meghdoot Force. And collectively, when north, position after position, after Haji Pir, we had to conquer several other positions. Our battalions were coming southwards, and from Poonch, the major obstacle were two posts. They were very interestingly called Raja Post and Rani Post. They were captured by two Sikh and 3 Dogra respectively. And these people were coming, these battalions were coming northwards, and in between, rather little south, there is a town called as Kahuta, which you must have heard.
Yeah.
And this is where all our northern forces and southern forces, they met. The eastern Meghdoot force also came. And technically, we were able to, cut off the entire Haji Pir Bulge. So if you draw a line from, as I said, from Uri to Poonch, the army had captured the entire area which was east of that. That is 500 square.
So it became like a
kilometers.
D.
It becomes like a D. Probably, the viewers will have to probably look at the map carefully. Yes. It's very easy to understand. I'm trying to, give them a visual. But if you have a map in front of you, it'll be very easy.
We will absolutely show that to the viewers. When we've seen Kargil, because that was the first televised war in this country, and we got to see the area that they were fighting. Leh Ladakh is devoid of any greenery. There was no place to hide. There are no trees. What is the topography like of Haji Pir in that area?
Very good question. So this 5th of August, these infiltrators came. 25th, we were supposed to go into the Pakistan territory and capture the Haji Pir Pass. It got delayed because of excessive rain. So in August, that area temperature was like probably 10, 11, 12. But because of rain, it was in single digit, 5 or 6 degrees. So the attack was delayed by a day, but the rain did not stop. So 26, 27, 28, it rained continuously for 3 days. And our soldiers, dripping wet, totally drenched in single digit temperature, marching through slush, slipping down with those heavy weight, and going and conquering position after position of well-entrenched Pakistani positions, which were nearly impossible because they are sitting in their comfort of their bunkers. Your bullets cannot harm them.
At a height,
they were also not necessarily at a height, but they were in a
entrenched.
very entrenched, very well entrenched. And we did use our mountain artillery very well, and we had a very competent officer called Captain Naidu, who was also given Veer Chakra in this conquest.
So, when you look at Haji Pir today, that sort of when you choose it to write a book, what is it that you feel in today's day and today's readers? What is the kind of connection you're hoping that your readers find when they're reading this to understand what happened then? And because at the end of the day, you've written a book for the readers, and you've written it for a reason. So I'm asking you for that reason. What is it that you hope that the readers will get from this, and you hope that they understand, and you hope that, apart from the fact that they know what happened, that is also a little bit, deeper than that?
Absolutely. In fact, before I talk about the readers, let me mention what I have learned by writing this book. And just one simple word, and that is courage. This story is all about courage. I told you about rain. I told you about the fact that the Pakistanis were well entrenched. Also, we did not have any intelligence of that topography of that area. We had basic knowledge about the topography, but we did not know where the Pakistani positions is going to be, because we are walking into the enemy territory. Our intelligence does not extend to that area at all. So we had no clue. We also had old, outdated maps. So what is the basis on which we took the decision of going forward and trying to capture a position so deep into the enemy land? And that is only one word: courage. And I think when we talk about Major Ranjit Singh Dyal, he exemplifies courage, because at many points in the story you will think that the situation is so tough for him. What is this man going to do? And even sometimes with limited options, with limited information, he chose courage. And because he chose courage, something which was seemingly impossible. When you look at the story, when you start reading the story, you will think that it is impossible for India to go and capture Haji Pir. But it was captured, and actually that brought Pakistan on their knees, because they were completely shocked. How is this possible that the enemy forces have entered 8 kilometers? There's a very deep nala in between. There are 3 positions called Sank, Sar and Ledwali Gali, then Hyderabad Nala, then an ascent, and it's all, Pakistani pickets and Pakistani forces are all there. And how is this enemy force of a battalion size has technically reached Haji Pir and captured this position? So this, because of the courage, we shocked them. And I think for the viewers also, readers also, they can get the same thing, that courage actually is a very important quality and virtue that we can apply to our lives. We need not be a soldier to be a winner in our life. We can be a corporate employee. I'm a co-founder of 2 startups. They're doing very well. One is a legal tech company, other is an ed tech company. In startup space as well, courage is important. In our normal life, in our relationships, everything, courage is the key word, and that is what I think this book conveys.
I have to ask you, what happened to the 30,000 who came in?
So
once Haji Pir was cut off, what happened to them?
So many of them who refused to give up arms, they were fighting with the Indian Army battalions at different locations. They were, of course, they chose to die fighting, and they died. And the ones who gave themselves up, including some officers, we took them in custody and we put them in jails.
Were they sent back like 71 war?
I'll be very honest with you, I have not done the research on the prisoner of wars of Pakistan at that time, because this war itself was huge. To give you an overview, 15 battalion attacks in 28 days was what I was expected to cover. This is already so complicated, and I wanted to make it simple, because I don't want to write an academic book which people who are not from the army cannot understand and relate to. I wanted to write a simple story, yet I did not want to miss out the details which are important. So for me, it was anyway a huge task. So unfortunately, but it's a good question, and probably, but I have no idea about what happened to the prisoner of wars.
When you're talking about writing, and you're talking about the enormity and the number of battalions involved, how did you choose your heroes? Was it the battalions or was it people? Who were your heroes in the book? Do I follow one person across? Is it a story told through the eyes of General Harbaksh Singh, who was also who are your heroes, like I said?
So heroes are not the battalions, but always people because people make battalions. And you're absolutely right, this question did cross my mind, and I've chosen about 15, 16 main key characters, key officers and jawans who were given the gallantry awards, and some of them who were not given the gallantry awards, because for me, any soldier who's fighting a war is a hero. True. Right? Gallantry award can be a good benchmark, but it cannot be an ultimate test, or for you to find who's done what. So certain other characters which I thought, certain other leaders, whether at the section level or the platoon level, company level, battalion level, wherever I found information about people that inspired me and I thought this is important, I chose those people and wrote their story.
And how many people did you meet, the ones who were actually part of the battles? How many?
Quite a few of them. I was able to meet Delta Company Commander. Delta Company was led by then Major Arvinder Singh, who's now a brigadier, lives in Noida. I had a great opportunity to meet him, and he was very kind enough to explain his experience. He was there in the battle. He fought at the contour line, in which I said Lance Havaldar Umrao Singh was martyred. Major Arvinder Singh was also shot in his leg, and he had to be taken out by a stretcher from there, and his wound was so severe that he was not able to walk for 2 years, and he was bedridden for 6 months. So he explained to me the situation on the contour line, because he arrived later at the Haji Pir Pass. Major Ranjit Singh Dayal was the first to arrive, along with the soldiers of Delta Company and Alpha Company. And here I would like to explain something else. The composition of one para is very interesting, and I must throw a little bit of light on this. So it was led by a Sikh officer, and Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, A, B, C, D companies had a very interesting composition. Alpha was all Sikh soldiers. Bravo were all Dogra soldiers, Charlie were all Jat soldiers, and Delta were all Ahir soldiers. Now these soldiers, though they came from different places, but what was common was the fact that they were highly motivated, very courageous, very trained Jawans, fighters. So which is why, and they were extremely fit, all of them tall, well built, because that was probably the selection standard at that time. So one para was a cohesive, strong unit of very fit, very capable, very committed and motivated soldiers.
You know, the fighting was crazy over there. There must have been a lot of casualties, right? And can you tell us a little bit about what kind of casualties did they face and what happened?
Yeah, absolutely. So in Haji Pir, more than 100 or 120, Jawans were injured, officers were injured. A lot of them lost their lives as well. And there was a requirement for us to evacuate the injured and the Shaheed Jawans and officers from the battlefield. And for that, we did not have manpower. So
and they were also in Pakistan.
We were in Pakistan. So what happened was, from near the border, we recruited some local Bakarwals. If my memory serves me right, I think it's about 120 of them. And Major Ranjit Singh Dayal gave them assurance that we will give you twice the army rate. So there is a rate of a porter which is fixed, and because it was a war zone and they were being brought in the war zone, they were told that you will be paid twice, and they all agreed. And then all these the injured soldiers and the shaheeds, they were all taken on the back of these Bakarwal people, very tribal but very strong, local sturdy people, Indians, and it was taken back to Uri. And after the operation was done, these people were called for payment, and you know what? They refused the payment. It is recorded in the book, and I've read it somewhere else also. They refused the payment because they said, this is our country. We are doing our job which we're supposed to do. It is such an emotional and powerful thing, and that is what local Kashmiri Bakarwals are for all of us today.
So there was support of locals also.
Yes,
even
there was
then.
tremendous support. Yeah.
That sounds very interesting. I'm very keen to read the book and figure it out. Any chance of this becoming a film?
It should.
Yeah, it should.
Give me money. I'll make it myself.
That's true. No, because
the
flavor is there, right? I mean, the Hindi film people are looking out for good stories. So I think this should be told. If you're talking about Kargil and you're talking about border, you had a story of the Rizanglas there. So why not? Why not this?
I completely agree with you that there should be a film on this, because Major Ranjit Singh Dayal's story and his leadership and his courage and the way he kept his battalion moving forward is hugely inspirational, and it will do a great service to our country, I would say. So I hope people are listening and someone gets in touch with me and they can take rights of this book.